All right, the Unit 3 practice test for Algebra 2. The first one have to do with the rules of exponents. When you multiply like bases, you add the exponents. So we need to have a negative number here, because 7 with a negative 4 would make 3. So you're adding 7 plus negative 4 would equal 3. So the answer is negative 4. Cross the line, change the sign, negative 3. Power to a power, you multiply the exponents, so the answer would be 12. Radical notation, square root means, or 1/2 power means square root, so that's radical notation. If it was 1/3, we would do cube root, and that would be radical notation. So 1/2 power means square root. All the students know the exponents, E-I-E-I-O. So the top number is the exponent. The bottom number, that's an I, that's the index. So that means we're going to take the 4th root of 16 and then raise it to the 5th power. So that would be the easiest way to do it. You could raise it to the 5th power first and then take the 4th root, but that makes the numbers huge. So it's easier to do this first. That's 2. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is 16. So that's going to be 2. 2 to the 5th, 32. The opposite of square rooting is to square. So I square each side. I get 2x is equal to 100. When you square a square root, it cancels out. It's the opposite. When you solve equations, you always do the opposite. Divide by 2, x is equal to 100. Not 100. X is equal to 50. The opposite of cube rooting is to cube. So I cube each side. I get 3x is equal to 9 times 9 times 9, which is 729. Divide by 3, and you get 243. Okay, next page. When you solve radical equations, you got to isolate the radicals. So that's what these two are about. We're going to add 5. I wrote 4. Add 5 to each side. Add 5, add 5. Cube root of x minus 3 is equal to 5. Square root of x minus 3 is equal to 5. All right, so this is just like the last page. I'm going to square each side. Get x minus 3 is 5 times 5, which is 25. Add the 3 over, 28. You're going to raise each side to the 3rd power here. You get x minus 3 is equal to 5 times 5 times 5, which is 125. Add the 3 over, x is equal to 128. The square root of the negative is I, so it's I square root of 64. 64 is a perfect square, so it's 8I. I squared, it's negative 1, so it's negative 14. When you add, you just put together the like terms. You don't have to distribute a negative or anything like subtraction. And 4 minus 3 is just 1I. Okay, now we're going to distribute. I always do these the same way. I do red second. I do green first. So green first, 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times the 7, 21I. Now the red, 10I and 35I squared. Now we can put it together. I squared is negative 1, so this is now like a negative 35 with the 6 in the front. So you owe your uncle or aunt, whoever, you owe somebody 35 bucks, you pay them back 6, you owe them 29. These are like terms in the middle, 31I. 10 and 21 is 31. Factor, x and x. 50 bucks, that's 5 $10 bills. Or 10 $5 bills. These two added together make 15, multiplied together make 50. Officer Burnett half donut trick. Set each factor equal to 0. 0 product property. Subtract the 5 over, you get negative 5. Subtract the 10 over, you get negative 10. Ba-boom. Completing the square is all about prepare. You got to leave a blank space there. So x squared minus 12x, subtract over the 76. So I left a blank space. half the middle term squared. Half of this is negative 6. When you square it, it's 36. So I'm going to add 36 to each side. So now it factors x and x, minus 6 and minus 6. It is a perfect square. That was the whole point, was to make it into a perfect square. That makes negative 40. So we have something squared is equal to a number. It's kind of like these problems. You have the square root of something is equal to a number, so I squared both sides. But it's just the reverse thing. I have squared, right? So I'm going to do the opposite of squaring. I'm going to square root each side. So I get x minus 6 equals plus or minus I square root of 40, pulling the I out. Add the 6 over, 6 plus or minus I square root of 40. Because you got to add that 6 over. Okay, A, B, C. A is 3. B is negative 1. C is 3. These go into the quadratic formula. It is negative B, which is negative. So it's going to be 1 plus or minus square root. 2A. Doubling A would be 6. I always do the discriminant, this part underneath, b squared in green minus 4 times A, which is 3, times C, which is 3. So that part has to be calculated. And we get 1 plus or minus square root over 6. That's 1, and then 3 times 3 times 4 is 36. So it's 1 minus 36 would be negative 35. Pull that negative out, make it an I. 1 plus or minus I square root of 35 over 6. And that is the answer. Whole test, 7 minutes. Boom.